Hey, Laura J here with Monika Marzak, who has been an incredible gift to me since I was part of the experience that I wanted to let you know about that's coming up in the month of August, which is a soul visioning course that we're now actually talking about, different from the vision boarding experience that I came into Monica's realm through because of a friend. So, first off, Monica, how are you doing today?
Good, Laura. Thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be on with you.
Yeah, and we actually just jumped off of your regular Fridays at 10 a.m. World Group Healing experience that you offer for free. So we'll put that detail into the description that goes with this video. And I thank you for that. And also want to just ask as a preface so people get a feel for you and part of the reason that I'm advocating for and supporting getting the word out about your work because of how much it's impacted me. I'd love for you to give an introduction to what got you into this work and the deep diving that it has taken you through the journey of as well.
Oh my. Most healers get into their own work or come to the place of doing their practice or their work, not because everything is hunky-dory in their life. It's usually because there's a need for something different that traditional medicine just wasn't giving me. So it was in my early 20s, I would say almost around between the ages of 21 and 27 where I had my midlife crisis. And so I started off with traditional talk therapy. And then what I noticed was the more I talked, the worse I felt. And there wasn't that shift. And that's not to discount traditional therapists or psychologists, everyone in its place, in its time. But for me, this I'm speaking personally about my experience was it just wasn't working for me. And then it was a fateful day that I went to receive a tarot reading and I met my practitioner, my mentor. And that's when I started the deep dive to unraveling um, what bound me, what caused me such pain, what caused me such suffering mentally, emotionally, and then even physically. It started off first through Reiki, and then I loved that so much that I decided I want to do that. So I went for certification, I became a Reiki master, and then it was in about 2000, I did that for a while, and then 2008, my practitioner switched to Body Talk, and she's like, I'm going to share this with you. And then this is where my body talk journey really unlaunched through getting to the root of what was causing me such such internal conflict. I knew there had to be a different way. I was so desperate. I'm like, no, if I look out into life, there's people that are not in constant suffering or in constant pain, and there has to be another way to experience life. There has to be a different way of doing things. And so it helped me to heal long-standing physical ailments. It also, I can actually attest that I'm a recovered drama queen. Everything in my life was very traumatic. It was very traumatic, what I call trauma drama. It's like over and over again. I would cry at someone would blow the wrong way or like sneeze the wrong way, and I would be in tears and over emotional. So I was able to heal those long-standing emotional wounds that bound me in this very dramatic space that were affecting my whole body, my whole mind, and my life. And then I was like, well, I used myself as a guinea pig for a long time, and it shifted everything. It changed everything. I actually look younger now. If you look at pictures of me now, from 15 years ago, I actually look old and withered 15 years ago, and I was only then maybe in my early 20s. I look younger now. It's like I'm aging backwards. I feel more light, more youthful, more, it's like a thirst for life has come back, like a curiosity. I don't really see life as a big drudgery anymore like I used to. It's like, oh God, another day that I just need to kind of live through. Now I wake up in the morning and it's like, ooh, what adventure is going to unfold in my day now? And that I can't say that I was like that 10 years ago. And so I opened up shop. I was like, well, there's the proof is in the pudding. And I was a guinea pig for long enough. And I was like, oh, now I'm ready to share this. So I certified in body talk, certified in Ho'opono, have my Reiki mastery, and I took soul responsibility and now can give classes in soul responsibility. So I come from very eclectic place where in my practice I use all of my tools on my tool belt for sessions. Yeah, it was through my own suffering that I found the way.
Yeah, that is the way of those who have done the work in order to embody it, to then be able to help people where they're at, pulling out the tool from the war chest, that we have access to all those tools to be able to not bring to war, but to reframe that so that life doesn't feel like such a battle. And what I love you had just said is actually something that you touched on in the healing session this morning that was about growing up. And it's like the part of us that shows up when we're in that immature hopelessness of feeling defeated is a very different aspect of us than the part that can wake up excited. And
Yeah,
I was just going to say I experienced that in my own shifting over the last few months while we've been doing this, and just the lack of resourcefulness that I have felt at times compared to the resourcefulness that I feel at other times is just to say that the shift internally doesn't necessarily stick in all moments. It's like coming to a new experience within ourselves through the embodiment of the growing up experience.
well, I love that. It's really growing up, you don't want your 5-year-old self to show up at a bank meeting and be making financial decisions for
Mm-mm.
you,
Yeah.
right? And there's nothing to say that there's anything wrong with that inner 5-year-old, but when that inner child or that wound has not been tended to, it's going to rule your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important to do that, like that maturation process. No one really tells you how to grow up. And I really noticed that. Like we go from being children or, being children and then going into the awkward preteen and then teen years, which is just, well, that's havoc in itself. So there's this growing up process, but what happens to what's happened in the ages of 0 to 5, where that undifferentiated consciousness is there, where everything goes in, where is the original wound, and without having a flashlight to tend to it or to take a look at it, to shift it, that's the space from which is ruling your life without even knowing. And yeah, growing up is so important, and no one tells us how to do it. And most adults don't know how to self-regulate. Most people are working from a nervous system that's been bombarded and fried and not tended to, that, people are not thinking, they're following their thoughts and they're being blown about this way and that way. And then, in comes the victim saying, well, it's not my fault, it just happened to me. Well, there's a lack of responsibility there, and you need to grow up. And it's the most freeing. It sounds like, oh my God, Monica, that sounds so horrible. It's so empowering. It's actually the opposite. When you stop and say, no, the buck ends here with me, and I am the only one that can do anything about it. So even if you're going to see a practitioner or a massage therapist or a chiropractor or a doctor or a dentist, or you're getting your eyes checked, it's you that needs to go to those people to receive the help that you need. It's you that needs to make those phone calls and reach out. No one's like the doctor's not calling you and going, "Oh, it's been, 2 years since your last visit and it's due." Like, no, no one does that. It's you that needs to do it. And there's like a true empowerment, I think, when that shift happens, like, oh, I'm not just this victim laying on the side of the road waiting for, the a happenstance or the wind to shift for my life to change. Oh, it's you that can do it. And what a relief knowing that, I think, anyway.
Mhm.
What a relief. I don't have to wait. I could
Yeah.
do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was something that was touched on in the call earlier today as well. And as I hear this conversation unfolding, I'm reflecting back on the first session of the course that I was part of. And it's the who's the matter with me and who was in my way or who was in the way of me actually seeing the vision that I am working to bring forward. And knowing that that wasn't so long ago and that it's not always that we're actually in a place of willingness to acknowledge the lesser parts of us or the less mature parts of us that don't feel as safe. So, going through this process, which started as a vision boarding course that was so much more as to why we've changed the title to be Soul Vision Activation, is that we're not coming to do crafts. We're actually crafting a life that we can love living because of the self responsibility we put into finding what wasn't ours in the first place, that we adopted from others who were limited in their thinking based on their traumas and dramas, and all the ways that the outer world will prevent us from actually accessing what our soul came here to move forward with. So I would love for you to really speak to the four courses or the four sessions in the course that you guide people through so people have an idea of what to expect if they are one of the 10 people that have the opportunity to go through this next experience with us.
Yeah. So I want to just keep, people are going, maybe they're asking, how come only 10? It's just that I'd like to keep my groups small and intimate. Um, so that you can be attended to personally within the group. So whoever decides to join, know that group work is your healing exponentially by the support of everyone around you, and that you also receive a one-on-one with me, either before we begin the process or during, depending on scheduling. That you do get a one-on-one session alongside, along with the course. So what we're going to be doing in this course is we'll be taking a look at what blocks you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and what filters taint the space from which you're living your life.
Mhm.
So there's nothing actually wrong with your life, and there's nothing actually wrong with you, but maybe you're thinking that there's something wrong, or looking for an outside recipe or a quick fix to shift something in your life. And this is not a class that we're going to be doing mantras. This is a deep dive looking at those things that block you from taking practical action towards creating the co-creating the life that you want. We're going to be looking at it through a body talk perspective. So we're going to be looking at how your thoughts influence the space from which you live your life. We'll be looking at the heart brain and any defensiveness that prevent you from going forward of putting, let's say, putting yourself out there. So I'm going to use, let's say, dating for an example. Let's say if you think all men or all women are out to get you, then the heart hardens, and that's the space from which your heart goes out and meets the world. And then so you attract to you people that don't have don't really want anything to have a relationship. And then in turn, you say, well, you see, so it's that self-manifest, that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? That we're going to be shifting those beliefs within the heart that limit its full expression, as your heart is the first thing, that pericardium over the heart is the first thing that meets the world. And if your pericardium is in defensiveness rather than natural protection, so you're walking around like this all the time, just in case, then you're blocking any potential goodness alongside the yucky things that you don't want to happen. So we're going to be taking a look at where your defenses are running the show and what you really think. But this is not going to be mantra work. This is not positive thinking. This is not that fluffy stuff.
Mm-mm.
This is not, I'm going to sprinkle essential oils around me and pray for the best or hope for the best. By actually taking a look at what's happening, shifts everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to be shifting that within your heart field. Then we go down into the gut. This is where intuition lies. So everyone says, oh, I want a greater intuition. So the intuition that you're born with is the intuition you have, and everyone has it. The problem is that a lot of people don't understand how to interpret it because they don't listen to her. And intuition is quite fierce. She'll tell you stop or no, or go, or yes, or hold back. And that intuition's not a lot of words. And so we'll be clearing the filters of the gut brain that block you from following intuition, from misunderstanding her, because it's very, very tricky. You can say that I'm following my intuition, but if you've got a lot of thoughts and it's big and fluffy, it's not intuition. Intuition is cutting. She'll stop you in your tracks. It's the embodiment. So let's say if you want to walk into a room and intuition stops you, then I used to force through that. I used to go, so silly. I should just walk into this room. There's nothing here that's going to happen. I should just go ahead and walk in the room. And then forcing through intuition, I would walk into the room, something would fall, I would trip. I don't question that anymore. If my body stops me, because intuition is comes from the gut, I listen to that and I turn myself around and I go, not now, for whatever reason, for whatever reason. But when there's filters on it, then it's very hard to listen to that internal, to your inner compass, to that inner guidance. And so through these 4 weeks together, we're going to start peeling away the filters that impact and block what actually is the beauty of your life, that you have more power than you think to create the life that you want to live. So I can't say what each week is going to be because we're going on this really big adventure together, and um, who knows what we'll find. And I cannot wait. I'm so enthusiastic to hop into this journey with you and with everyone who's going to be participating, and we can get to the gold nuggets. So the treasure is not the thing that's laying out open on the beach when the hero or the heroine of your story, which is you have to go into the dark forest. These treasures usually are protected by either a dragon or a cave, or, you go into these wild adventures and the X marks the spot and there's this gold nugget waiting for you. It's not by staying in the light that you'll find something new. You find something new in the dark that you've never seen before. So we're going to be taking a little journey into the dark, and I will be your flashlight, and you will not be doing this alone. And you have the support of the group with you.
Mm-hmm.
So is that reflective of your experience? It's difficult because I'm leading it,
Yeah.
so I have a different perspective of it than you do, Laura.
Yeah, it very much, I believe the first week was around actually creating the vision, which I found very interesting because in the way it was guided before then, working with each person that was in the group, the vision was trying to create the vision of the garden and going into the imagery that you had provided. And then my own blocks and the projections of what filters were in front of my own ability to access what's real for me. And what I found by the final was that instead of seeing a random garden that was just of the mind, I actually started to see the garden where I am and wanting to actually put my energy into what is real. And so my I created this is a really poor vision board that we did at the fourth session, but this is the book that I've been working that finally I decided in that course actually that I was going to birth. And so I painted it, and then the gourd trellis in the backyard was what came to mind that I wanted to put my energy into. And then I guess the blue for expression and the merging and marrying of worlds was what I created. And during that session, there was actually a lot of resistance from my friend that I had met that introduced me to your world and your work in the first place. And there were blocks in the ability to engage. And as an amazing artist himself, it was very interesting to observe because the intuition can be fierce and firm. And then there's also belief systems and filters that we each bring, including yourself as you acknowledge for the work that you do. And so for people that are wanting, all the love and light and only the niceness, when there is a belief system that is interfering with someone's ability to move forward, and there is a firmness in the helping move beyond the pattern, I I wonder if you would speak to your willingness to play that part in someone's life for them to be able to experience a side of you they may judge, maybe, but at the same time that gives them the mirror, like in this morning session around conflict, where the conflict within, if we deny something within ourselves, it has to be mirrored to us and the outside, because that's the only way that part of us is able to return to us.
The kindest thing I can do while someone's hurting themselves in front of me is tell them I will not let them hurt themselves in front of me. And let's say it's a child who's going to drink poison. I will firmly take the poison out of that child's hands so they no longer hurt themselves. And so it may seem like it comes off harsh when someone, like when I bring up, like, well, this is where you've been fooling yourself, or this is where, see how you've been betraying yourself, or see where you've been lying. It'll often seem that it's harsh, but it's actually the most loving thing because those behaviors, those habits are hurting you. And so it seems like it's harsh, but the harshness lies within the mind. The mind is the roughest place to live.
Mhm.
And when I started this work, I used to think the same thing. When my practitioner would very honestly point out what I'm doing or shine a light on a wound that I'm trying to hide so desperately because it hurts. Sometimes it just hurts, and hiding from it. But that doesn't help me. If there's a practitioner who coddles you, then they are not helping you. It's the most helpful, loving, gentle thing anyone can do while someone's in the throes of being stuck in the same perpetual pain over and over again, whether there's psychic pain, emotional pain, physical pain. It is absolutely incumbent upon me as a practitioner to anchor and bring them back to shore so they're not lost at sea. And sometimes that may seem like it's being done firmly, but it's done with absolute gentleness and compassion. It's, the roughness is the harshness comes from the harshness of the mind. I used to think that, oh my God, she's saying it so rough to me. And I can see now that it was the harshness of my own belief systems that I was rubbing up against that made me think that, oh, she's being so mean. But it was actually the most loving thing that my practitioner was doing for me was to shine a light on the things that I was avoiding, because what you resist persists and what you avoid grows manifold. And the only way you can shift anything is by looking at it. And whatever you give attention to grows. So that has shifted for me as well, even in the way that I approach my work. It's quite to the point, but that's the point. Let's get to the root of it, and then healing can take place.
Mhm.
It's like I was saying during today's global healing session, when you have a wound and you've been covering it for a long time through whatever coping mechanism you have, whether that be repeating mantras over and over again, um, meditating with a goal, so thinking that enlightenment's going to make your life easier, or going into healing sessions because there's something wrong with you and treating yourself like a DIY project, um, thinking that there's something wrong with your life. And you've got this wound and you've been covering it for a long time through whatever coping mechanisms you use. And unfortunately, sometimes now even people who do healing sessions go into it using as a coping instead of, oh, just do a quick little attunement and I'll be fine. And I'll be fine. And so they cope and they cover and they cover and they cover. And what ends up happening is that cut gets infected and it goes deeper and wider and it's pussy and it hurts. It hurts so much when a practitioner that you go to see who's goes, ah, there's the boo-boo. And let's take off the band-aid. Let's relieve that coping. Traditionally, cope means to cover, means to hide. It's the priest's cloak that he puts on before sermon. He hides, he copes. And so when I hear someone say, "Oh, I'm dealing with it," and they say it in the way that, "Oh, I'm just coping. I'm just coping. I'm just getting by. I'm just coping." That's when the time is needed to turn towards that boo-boo that you've been hiding. And so it's like having a deep wound. Let's say you cut yourself, and instead of cleaning out and disinfecting it and putting, let's say, some polysporin on it or some ointment of whatever your choice is, and covering it for the time that it needs to heal, you just keep avoiding it and saying, I'm going to take a look at it later. And you just keep just putting different layers of band-aids on. It may seem very harsh when a practitioner comes and goes, oh, look, this is where the wound is, and takes off the coping or removes the band-aid. That's going to be a painful process. It could potentially be a painful process to actually look at all of the things that have been avoided for so long, because what you avoid grows and what you resist persists. So it's actually having an opposite effect. Most people want to hide these things. They're like, no, don't look at it. It'll just go away by itself. It'll just be taken care of on its own. And I'll just mantra it or, sprinkle some fairy dust or um become enlightened so my life becomes easier, then my life will change then if I just change myself, as if there's something wrong with you, as if there's something wrong with your life, but there isn't anything wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with your life, but it's your relationship to yourself and the relationship that you have to your life that needs to be shifted. And so it could be quite painful when a practitioner goes, oh, look, you've been avoiding this cut for a year, two, 10, 15, 20 years of band-aids that are ready to be healed and shifted. It might feel uneasy. It might feel a little bit like, oh my God, what is happening? But to leave you with that wounding as a practitioner, or it's not even that I'm doing anything, but it's absolutely incumbent upon me to go, look, this is what we're looking at. This is what your body mind's ready to shift. But I'm not doing it. I'm observing your healing. It's you that's doing your own healing. It's not me that's healing you. The act of observing you healing is healing. And that's the most beautiful thing because that's so empowering. And so it might feel like, oh my God, what did this woman do to me? When it was just a pointing out within you what's already ready to come up to the surface to be healed. And what a beautiful place. An empowering place to actually have someone that relates to all of this. The only way that I can see what's ready to be shifted within you is because I've experienced the darkness within me. So as a practitioner, it's you can't observe in someone else what you haven't been through yourself.
Mhm.
So go into the dark? Why go into those places? Well, that's because that's where the treasure is. It's like if you see the room around you, you're not going to see anything new in my surroundings. I know where everything is in the light or in the light. It's consciousness. We're awake. We're in consciousness right now. We're awake.
Mhm.
We have to go into those places that we don't quite want to go into to shift things. And it doesn't need to be painful or dramatic. It's just like, oh, cool, that was what's hiding out in the corner. Like when you go into an attic with a flashlight. It's been adventures like, oh my God, let's open up this treasure chest and see what's hiding in here. And so it doesn't have to be a painful process. It doesn't have to be re-traumatizing, but it is enlightening in the sense that you're seeing something new about yourself. And by shifting that perspective, it changes absolutely everything.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to bring it back to where I used to think my practitioner was mean. I was like, oh my God, she's so rough. She's so mean. She's saying these things. But it was the most gentle thing that she could do because just letting me go and continue on hurting myself, well, that really hurts. That's really painful
Mhm.
to continue the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely. I remember years ago when I lived in England, I had a girlfriend that did shamanic journeying. And in one of these journeys, she said I was at the shoreline and I was pointing out over all of the water at this giant kingdom, this giant castle that was on a tapered stand or a tapered base. And what was said then, which our work together in the 12 sessions that it's been that I've paid to do with you privately after the 4 sessions that introduced me to you and your work, and I pushed through the resistance that may have felt when there was the conflict that I was observing, but also, and even in myself as the dog barks, because this is when we're actually recognizing we're the ones that are in this together. So as much as we might want to pretend it's all love and light, or, that we don't have our own stuff that comes up and the triggering that occurs with others that get triggered, and then it triggers our own stuff, you're doing the work. I'm doing the work. And we're the ones that are here to guide, not as having arrived at the kingdom that is out beyond the seas, but it is to have brought the kingdom, and it has been bringing the kingdom onto solid ground, which was what that guidance my friend Zora Chomondoli gave me in that journey all those years ago, and that I recognize has been happening with the work that we've been doing. Because even when you use the word coping, and to express that that is what the priests use to cover themselves. And with the book that I committed to beginning officially putting as a book in the course is about the Noahidic laws that have given roots to and foundation to the legal system that we've been going along to get along with because we didn't know of an alternative. And it's been hurting a lot of people to go along with lies that we've adopted simply because it was what we were given by generations who gave in because they couldn't go another way without having their own lives sacrificed or the lives of those they love most sacrificed, because the sanctum sanctorum is the heart of hearts that is within, where you speak to the soul being in the left atrium, or is it the
Right
right?
atrium.
The
It's in the
right
right
atrium,
atrium.
which I have many questions about, but I think it best to leave that for when we do, or when you do, and I'm there also on July 31st at noon Eastern Standard Time with the free call people can come to in order to get a taste and also ask questions about. That sanctum sanctorum is private until it's made public because we confide in another. And traditionally, when we confess, then those secrets can be used against us and have been by many who have been looking for power within an external world and reality. But what I love and why I say all of this, which is my BS belief systems, and it's not to say that you share these ideas, it's simply to say that in my work that I've been working to bring forward in the world is about uncovering that which has been harming because few knew how to actually address that which has been covered and upheld because of the Arcani Imperii, which is the imperial system, which is all the words and heads that make people say, like, oh my God, what? I'm not teaching the course. I'm just going to be part of it. But I say it because the covering and the coping is how we haven't been actually willing to see the tapered foundation we have been building kingdoms on top of, which is what I was doing until I decided to push through my own resistance of not necessarily fully getting the way that a delivery was met, but at the same time moving through that and to actually stick with it and seeing your value and my own growth from the experiences that we've shared is to say that it's not always comfortable. And we might not always agree, but there is still love and there is still understanding and there is still a resonance of truth without a capital T that is owned from me perspective, but the truth that is felt in the heart that is not in the head, rationalized with the ration of lies that we've adopted and bought into. So this is kind of a frame of those who know me and my work and say, the kingdom I've been trying to bring forward is the king's domain that is claimed through domination of dominion. But what the work that Monika has been helping me with through what she has to offer and my own willingness to go inward is what allows us to bring the kingdom down to common ground where we don't need the kings and the queens and all of the titles and the things that make us feel like we're better or worse than or less than another.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much I can ta say there, but what's sticking out for me is resistance. And the pushing through resistance is resistance. There's no need to push through anything.
Mm.
So there's a Polish saying that says there's no need to force the river about. You cannot force the river. And it's to feel comfortable. No, I don't like comfortable. I don't like that. And it's not what I'm trying to say. It's to be with the moment that you're having, even if you're experiencing resistance. There's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It's thinking that there's something wrong that makes it wrong. So if there's a feeling of resistance, what happens when you feel resistance and feel it fully? Well, when you give it a name or you give it that somatic experience, usually what tends to happen is that it dissipates on its own. So if you are not you personally, I'm just saying you as in people or someone is trying to force through something, that forcing is the problem. There's no need to force life about. That's Nisargadatta. There's no need to force life about. There's nothing wrong with life, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's thinking that makes it so. And so by shifting your perspective, you shift everything from only seeing one side, then you can see that it's a multifaceted experience. I hope everyone will join us
Yeah.
on the 31st. It's going to be fun. You're going to walk away with tangible tools, how to balance your brain, how to come out of stress, how to feel grounded and anchored. I'll be teaching a technique so you can do that on your own. And then through the course, you'll actually be doing the exercise to create that neurological connection. So, do using your brain in a different way to create those neurons to get you to that help you move to your garden. And so, that's not only going to be done through that neural pathway, but then the neural pathway of the heart, and then also through the gut. So it will be a full somatic experience that you won't need me to get you to your garden, that you'll be able to go there and do this on your own because, teach a man to fish and he can fish for 100 years, right? So my goal, or I don't really like goal, but what I like to do is empower people to take care of themselves. And so I hope you'll join me in learning these tips and tricks and have some fun.
Yay. Well, I sincerely appreciate the shifts that you've helped me make in my own life through the process of working together. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing everyone who says yes to themselves to be part of the course, to also know that if there are extras, a waitlist will be created and another course will be offered. So it's not your only opportunity, but it may be the last at the price that is being offered now. There is,
Definitely that the prices will increase the next time we join again. So I do hope you'll participate, and I look forward to meeting you all.
yay. Yes, and the course is running August 3rd as the first Sunday. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is the time for 4 Sundays. There is an early bird as well.
Early bird ends August 1st,
Yeah.
so contact Laura. She's my hostess with the mostest. She'll get you all set up. Early bird is $100 discount, and that ends the first.
Would love to see your comments, your questions, and look forward to hearing from those who want to be part of the July 31st experience. I will put that link in the description box so that you can sign up and gain access to what's going to be an eye-opening experience for all who join. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank
Thank
you, Monica.
you.